to a type of material, meaning that the schach, let's say the rest have to rest on wood type of material, or could even rest on metal. So that's going to be one of the discussions in the Mishnah. So here's the case of the Mishnah. We're on the page. We're on 21b in the art scroll by the Mishnah. Where is it? 21b3. I'm just guessing. 21b2, the end of 21b2. Hasomich sukato b'karei hamita. If someone supports his sukkah with the post of the bed, what does that mean? That means some Mefarshim explain, some commentators explain the Mishnah the following. You have a bed. The bed has its side walls to the bed, right? The frame of the bed. And let's say you remove the mattress of the bed, and what you do, you created a sukkah, you put schach on the walls of the bed. The bed, let's say, the height.
Mattress used to rest.
I would say not with a mattress. Let's say you remove the mattress. Some say you remove the mattress, some say you didn't remove the mattress, but let's say the mattress is low, but then there's walls of the bed. The frame of the, make believe the bed was like, it had these side walls like this. Okay. Here's the walls of the bed, and then the person's laying down over here, but let's say these walls are higher, so therefore the bed has, let's say, these three walls. There's the back of the bed, the head is standing, the back, the bed, the head frame, whatever they call it, and then there's the side of the bed, which the walls of the bed come up at least 10 tvachim, let's say 30 to 40 inches. Let's say 30, it's only three, even if we'll go with 40 inches, that's less than 3.5 feet. So a height of less than 3.5 feet on the sides. And what did he do? He put his schach. He threw schach across the bed, the walls of the bed. So now I have a sukkah. But is it a kosher sukkah? Not a kosher sukkah. But it was a bed. But now I put on the roof of this bed, which is the ceiling of the bed, which is the schach. I made it for the purpose of a sukkah. I remember there's in Baltimore, Maryland, there's like an Eruv book where they show you how if you have a van, you could create a sukkah. You turn your van into a sukkah. How is that? Like a big van, you open up the doors, and then the doors could form as the walls, and then you have the car itself, and you have three walls, and you throw some, and if it's 40, these doors are 40 inches off high.
It's open then.
Oh, open! You open the door. You open the side doors of the van. Let's say the doors on the side, right?
It has the roof of the car.
When you open up the doors while they're open form two walls. But there's nothing. But then you throw schach on top of that. You're not using the roof of the car as a sukkah. You open up the doors. Now I got it. Let's say make believe this is the van. I open up the doors. I got two doors here. I got ground here. I just throw schach on top. And the only thing is I got to make sure that I think we have to see about that the wall off the ground. The question is, can the wall? You have to make sure that the wall. You have to make sure. Should it be more than 3 tvachim? Should it be 3 tvachim off the ground? Should be less than 11 inches off the ground, and then or else you get into the question of the mechitza is suspended in air. So therefore, if you make sure that it's not more than 9 inches off the ground, we'll be more strict. You put something there to fill in the space, and that might.
You put a platform.
You put a platform that raises the ground. You have and that could be. I mean, we have to look it up again, but that's how you can make a temporary type of a sukkah. So here, the same way you could possibly turn your walls of the the doors of your van and put schach on top and turn it. And now you have to have the interior of the sukkah that has to be at least 7 tvachim by 7 tvachim. So 28, let's say if we'll be strict, we'll say 28 inches by 28 inches is not, what's 28 inches? It's less 28 inches, a little more than 2 feet. So the doors open up, the door, the van doors, the nice sized van doors, when you open them up, the space that's in between, that's between here and there, doors extend 28 inches, and it goes 28 inches this way, 28 inches this way. So you can make a sukkah under such a situation. So here the bed is definitely 28 inches by 28 inches. The bed, at least the bed that we're talking about. So and then you put schach on top of the bed, the walls of the bed. So the first opinion, it says, that's a kosher sukkah. That's a kosher sukkah. Comes Rabbi Yehuda Omer. Rabbi Yehuda says, if it can't stand by itself, then it would be not kosher. What does that mean? That means if you're going to throw the schach on top of the walls of the bed, and at any moment you move the bed, everything, the schach will move too, right? If you're going to go ahead, if you use the walls of the bed, and then you create your own wooden frame, and you throw schach on top of that he said is fine. But here he says, since you could just, if you move the bed, the sukkah moves with it, the schach moves with it, and the schach will not be able to stand by itself. That's not a kosher sukkah. If you go ahead and you place, you put into the ground a wooden frame or something, and you throw the schach on top of that, and you can still use the bed walls as walls for your sukkah. It's not Yehuda says there's no problem. The only problem is if you're throwing the schach on top of those bed walls, and these beds are movable, that's not a good sukkah. But if you would create, let's say, here's the wall of the bed, here's the wall of the bed, and here's the wall of the bed, and I bang into the ground, I put some piece of wood into the ground, and I place the sukkah, the schach, on top of this frame. But let's say they're just posts. Let's say they're just poles. A pole here, a pole here, a pole here. But now when you move the wall of the bed, this is not going anywhere. The schach is not moving anywhere because the schach is not connected, it's not resting on the walls of the bed. The schach is resting on these poles. So then it would be kosher.
So if the schach is not moving with the sukkah, it's not a kosher sukkah.
So he's saying if the schach would move with the bed, it's not kosher. Right. But if the schach doesn't move with the bed, the schach will stay in place. Then you see, if you take a look at this picture over here, you see in this picture, let's say these are the walls. Let's say these are the walls of the bed. But you didn't rest the schach on top of the walls. Right. You created these poles, and you created a structure. Even if you move the bed, the schach remains in place. So therefore, Yehuda says that would be kosher. So now the Gemara says, and that's what Yehuda says: Im eina yachol amo b'fnei psula. If it can't stand by itself, then it would be invalid. But if it could stand by itself, the schach, it's not invalid. So the Gemara says, "My time of Rabbi Yehuda." The Gemara wants to understand, why is Rabbi Yehuda strict? What is pushing him to say that this sukkah is no good? There's the argument between two rabbis. We are on 21b, 3. That Rabbi Yehuda holds a sukkah has to be more of a permanent type of a structure. And since you could move the sukkah in such a fashion, it moves, that's not a kosher sukkah. It's too mobile, this thing. If you created those poles and you placed the schach on top of the poles, so then the schach doesn't move. It remains standing in its place. But if you place it on top, if you place it on the walls of the bed, it's like, and you can move the bed, you're moving the sukkah. It's too temporary type of a structure.
Why would it be kosher if you're moving the wall? So
Say it
now, why would the remaining where the schach is, it's kosher because you don't have wall now?
No, you're correct. You're correct that you can't sleep in that sukkah if there's no, if you move the bed and there's no schach and the schach stays back. It wouldn't be kosher. You have to be in a place where it has the walls and the schach on top of you. But if you would move the bed, the schach would remain in place because if you create a separate frame, that's what Rabbi Yehuda says would be kosher. Rabbi Yehuda would agree even though the bed would move, but the schach wouldn't move, so that's called enough of a permanent type of structure that you could fulfill your mitzvah of sukkah when everything is in the same, didn't move yet. Of course, if you're right, if you move the bed and now you don't have any walls left for the schach, you can't sit in such a thing. But when you didn't move the walls yet, and it's in it, and it's staying, and now everything is where it is, the walls of the bed and the schach. If the schach is resting on this platform, Yehuda says you're fine, because it's not called so temporary, because it's going to the schach is intact. It's not going anywhere. It's on top of these poles. But if you put the schach on top of the walls of the bed, being that the walls of the bed will move, being the schach, and if the schach will move with it, that's called a problem. That will be a problem. It's too temporary. When we know a sukkah is called sukkah because of the schach. Schach, sukkah, and therefore, so if the schach moves, that's too therefore even when it didn't move, it's not kosher because it's too temporary type of a the schach is in a very temporary way. But if the schach is on the poles, resting on poles, and therefore if you move the bed, the schach would remain. So therefore it's considered a proper placing of the schach, and therefore if you didn't move the bed, you have the walls of the bed, you have the schach on this frame, you are good. Okay, now they're ready for slichot.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Every minute counts. Every word counts. Every word is another mitzvah.